An apologetic Chris Christie takes responsibility for a scandal over political strong-arming. Will it be enough to save his potential presidential candidacy? This is Special Report. Good evening, I'm Brett Baer. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, known for his head-on approach to politics, today dove headfirst into a scandal that threatens his potential presidential hopes. Christie portrayed himself as betrayed, humiliated, and ultimately accountable for the use of traffic jams to settle a political score over his re-election bid. We have Fox team coverage tonight. Britt Hume gives us his take on how Christie handled the situation. Mike Emanuel zeroes in on the politics here, but we begin with senior correspondent Eric Shawn in New York with the anatomy of a New Jersey Sopranos-style scandal. Good evening, Eric.
Good evening, Brett. Well, it was a 1-hour and 48-minute news conference where a contrite and repeatedly apologetic governor said he's sorry.
I come out here today to apologize to the people of New Jersey. I apologize to the people of Fort Lee, and I apologize to the members of the state legislature. I am embarrassed and humiliated by the conduct of some of the people on my team.
Calling himself heartbroken, saying he was blindsided, Governor Chris Christie tried to deal with the scandal sparked by some top-level officials of his administration, staff, and campaign. They apparently engaged in political payback against the Democratic mayor of Fort Lee, New Jersey, Mark Sokolich, for not endorsing Christie's re-election bid last November. In September, 3 lanes of the George Washington Bridge were closed in Fort Lee for 4 days, delaying thousands of motorists and reportedly doubling response times for ambulances, including one for a 91-year-old unconscious woman, Florence Genova, who died of cardiac arrest at the hospital. Her daughter told the New York Times that she does not believe the closings had anything to do with her mother's death, simply saying it was just her time. The Port Authority claimed the closings were for a traffic study until the texts and emails emerged. Christie fired Bridget Ann Kelly, seen here on the right, his deputy chief of staff, who sent texts and emails about the closings, saying she lied to him. One of her emails declares, "Time for some traffic problems in Fort Lee." And other emails and texts show some Christie appointees reveled in the traffic chaos. Christie also reiterated that he knew nothing about the lane closings and played no part in ordering them.
I had no knowledge or involvement in this issue, in its planning or its execution, and I am stunned by the abject stupidity that was shown here, regardless of what the facts ultimately uncover.
Christie also told his former campaign manager, Bill Stepien, to withdraw for consideration for state GOP chairman because of the, quote, callous indifference he showed in the emails. Just hours later, Christie's number 2 appointee to the Port Authority, David Wildstein, who was involved in some of the text and emails, took the fifth when summoned to a New Jersey State Assembly Transportation Committee hearing on the closings. Wildstein was held in contempt.
On the advice of my counsel, I respectfully assert my right to remain silent.
Well, late today, the governor went to Fort Lee and met with Mayor Sokolich to apologize face-to-face. When he emerged, Mr. Christie said they had a good, productive, and warm meeting, and he again offered his apologies to the people of that city, some of whom applauded him as he left. Brett?
Eric Shawn live in New York. Eric, thanks. Let's focus now on how this affects Governor Christie's presidential potential. Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel has that part of the story tonight.
I am responsible for what happened. I am sad to report to the people of New Jersey that we fell short.
But did Chris Christie fall short in the eyes of those who think he has a political future as a presidential candidate?
I am enormously flattered that folks would talk about me in my party as someone who they think could be a candidate for president. But I am absolutely in nowhere near beginning that consideration process.
Former Obama White House senior advisor David Axelrod tweeted that Christie handled it about as well as he could. Unless smoking gun turns up tying him to scheme or others arise, he lives to fight another day. On Capitol Hill, House Speaker John Boehner was asked if he thought Christie could remain a top 2016 Republican candidate.
I think so. I think so.
If he runs, Christie, already facing criticism for a nearly chummy relationship with President Obama after Hurricane Sandy, can expect ads on this controversy from fellow GOP candidates. Part of his likely response will be this shouldn't be a fatal mistake.
We're really talking about, will fellow Republicans view this as, a one-time strange event, or do they see this as indicative of a deep flaw in him?
And some experts say Christie's handling of this matter could actually help him with 2016 voters.
They want to know that the person they pick will be able to withstand withering fire, because every candidacy and every president has crisis after crisis. You don't want someone who's going to fold. Well, Christie not only didn't fold, he did a superb job in that press conference.
If he runs, Christie will do so without his former campaign manager, who would have been a key player in 2016. And he's lost talent he's comfortable with, as well as the experience of both insiders. Yet to have that future, everybody seems to agree the governor had to respond firmly and decisively. Brett?
All right, Mike, thank you. Let's get some thoughts now on how Governor Christie handled the situation today and is handling it from senior political analyst Britt Hume. Good evening, Britt.
Hello there, Brett. Christie may or may not have put the worst of the bridge traffic scandal behind him, for who knows what revelations may lie ahead. But he has so far followed the playbook long advised by crisis managers on how to quell a firestorm. First, you find out all you can as fast as you can. That appears to be how Christie spent yesterday. Second, you take action, including dealing decisively with those responsible for the misconduct. Then you apologize without reservation and take all questions. No matter what your defenders may say about the wrongdoing, you don't try to minimize it, which is what Christie seemed to be doing until today. This may have been a 4-day traffic jam onto a bridge in New Jersey, but this is no ordinary bridge. The George Washington is the most trafficked in the world and is part of Interstate 95, the main north-south artery of the East Coast. Millions of Americans who don't live anywhere near New York or New Jersey have traveled across that bridge, and few can forget what an unpleasant trip it is, even when the traffic is light, which it almost never is. So this is a scandal that many, many people can easily imagine affecting them. The verdict on Christie's handling of it after the deadly email service yesterday would seem to be so far so good. How good, though, depends on the final and most important tenet of all scandal management. Tell the truth. If you do, these things usually blow over. If not, they don't. Brett?
Is one of the things that draws people to this, and potentially why it's so devastating, is about the power of government. The fact that a deputy chief of staff, even if he didn't know, could write an email and could do that is pretty astonishing.
Right. I mean, we learned in the IRS scandals that people in the bowels of government can affect people in a very clear way. People can get that. They get this, I think. And you see that, to me at least, young woman with her sort of preppy look and her string of pearls with the matching earrings, and that person could pick up the phone or whatever she did to trigger this and cause this mess for 4 days in that city in Fort Lee, New Jersey, is kind of a painful reminder of what government can do. It can mess your life up.
And obviously we don't know all the ins and outs yet, but this investigation is continuing.
It is indeed, and you had to, one guy takes the fifth today. You don't want to have guys taking the fifth and that are associated with you. Doesn't help.
Okay, Britt, thank you. Up next, is President Obama about to change how the NSA tries to keep America safe? But first, here's what some of our Fox affiliates across the country are covering tonight. Fox 13 in Tampa with a new smart home for a wounded vet. Sergeant Michael Nicholson lost both legs and an arm in Afghanistan. His new house is equipped with sections that lower to accommodate access from his wheelchair. Fox 13 in Salt Lake City with the ACLU announcement that it will file a lawsuit against the state of Utah for refusing to recognize same-sex marriages performed there in recent weeks. And this is a live look at Los Angeles from our Fox affiliate there, KTTV. The big story there tonight, the trial of 2 police officers accused of fatally beating a homeless man now goes to jury. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.